Previously on the General Geekery Podcast, Season 1, Episode 10.
Showcase a bit.
I started watching it yesterday.
So yeah.
Because I remembered, I said we should talk about Ghost in the Shell. I should watch it. Well, because you've been geeking out about it so much. I'm like, this would be a great topic, even though I'm ignorant.
Our duo of geekery sat down to discuss the anime series Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Unfortunately, at the time, our resident video game inept Hannah did not finish the entire series from beginning to end. Now, nearly 3 years later, she has finally completed the series. What did she think of it? And overall, what were some of our duo's favorite episodes? Let's find out. Here we are, almost 3-ish years later since that recording, and we're back at it.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should do more of these, like anime sequels. I just finished watching Steins Gate Zero not too long ago, so I am down for that.
I still need to see Zero, so I'll catch up.
What? Dude.
We'll talk later.
Dude.
We'll talk later. We'll talk later.
I have stuff to say about it. Oh man.
Anyway,
it was really interesting. Never mind. This is not what we're talking about. Damn it. One quick thing. The Steins Gate I watched with the sub, and Steins Gate Zero I watched with the dub, and the dub was awesome. Oh gosh. Oh, it was awesome.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the general...
That's it! We're changing the topic of the episode!
Welcome back to the General Geekery Podcast. This is the podcast where we love to geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse.
El Sai Congru.
And with all of the enthusiasm in the world. I am not scientist, it's so cool. We're not talking about Steins Gate today, by the way. This came out of nowhere.
As unbelievable as that is not our topic for today.
I'll put that on the manifest for future episodes.
Oh,
maybe we'll start.
Yes,
maybe we'll start off 2023 with that. Who knows? Anyway, as always, I am your resident coffee ninja by day.
I just don't know when to stop. Okay, I'm done now.
I'm your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night, Donald, back once again. Joining me, she is the artiste extraordinaire, Dice Slinger Magnificent, and more importantly, a member today, an official member of the Future Gadget Science Lab, according to all the ramblings that she's doing.
I just was going to do like a punch the air with my fist, and I accidentally punched myself in the ear.
Hannah Kubiak, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man.
What is happening tonight? Oh,
just so you know, bananas don't have memories.
Well, no kidding! You don't say!
This whole thing should just be an extra geekery, honestly.
Oh, man. I'm gonna leave this in. This is too funny. Oh, who knows? So, I'm Donald. This is Hannah. So, today we are revisiting one of our earliest topics and episodes because back then, Hannah did not see the entire series.
No, that's true.
And she did not tell me this when we originally recorded that episode, and I'm like, I'm gonna need to bullshit my way through this. But, now that you have seen all of it, today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite animes of all time, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Now, for those of you Now, for those of you that have not seen our previous episode talking about Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, I'll have that specific episode linked in the description below, so you guys can go listen to that and hear early us rambling. I don't exactly know how much has changed between then and now, but, you know, if you guys want to go see it, then yeah, go listen. But, as I said before, Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorite anime franchises. Actually, one of my favorite Japanese stories of all time. I own pretty much almost the entire series, not just counting Standalone Complex, but also the original movies, and I still need to collect the Arise series, but that's later down the line. Hannah, you didn't... Before we watched Standalone Complex, you said you didn't see much of it or hear much of it, right?
I had never seen Ghost in the Shell at all before we watched the first series.
And she was only like halfway through the first series when we originally watched this, when we originally recorded.
Is true.
So now that we are caught up on that, a brief summary again of the story. So Ghost in the Shell takes place in the distant future of 2030. Not so distant, but that's how the world is ending up after what the first few years of this decade has been. I'm concerned. But it takes place in Japan and follows a society that has technologically developed to the point where humans have cybernetic brains, or cyber brains for short, which basically allows them to access the internet, files, and things of that nature, and also has the potential to cyberize their bodies, basically making them more akin to cyborgs, basically.
Yep.
Our story...
You can download things directly to your brain. It freaks me out. You can hack somebody's brain.
Hey, guys, look at this. Look at this cyber brain. This cyber brain that I just got installed to me just downloaded 12 terabytes of porn.
Crap.
I'm surprised that they never touched on that, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they never touched on that in the show.
Well, there was that one guy who he liked to swap bodies with all the geishas.
Oh, yeah, that was episode 1. Shit, they actually did touch on that. Oh, man. But our story follows Public Security Bureau Section 9, a military organization made up of many different backgrounds of former military ops, policemen, you name it, in order to counteract cyber crimes in this world where cyber technology is... It's still a newer thing, and so there's a lot of loose ends to the laws and what people can or cannot do, which is where our story takes place. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love the concept of cyber brains, just the overall concept and ideas that this specific universe offers, from a sci-fi standpoint as well as a story aspect standpoint.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but it makes me so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like with any kind of thing, any kind of idea like that presents an ethical dilemma on both sides of the coin. There is definitely a very big area of discomfort, but it also, with that level of discomfort, makes for some very interesting storytelling, I will say.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's a future world where people are cyberized, either their body parts or their whole body. Pretty much everybody has a cyber brain, and this kind of, I don't know. I wrote a short story about this one time where it's if you replace all of your body parts with cybernetic technology, are you still even a human? What happens to your soul? And they have this idea of they're still considered to have a ghost or a consciousness. That's what Ghost in the Shell, the name comes from this.
Yep.
Yeah. So very interesting. Well, I guess shall we get a little bit into the plot of Second Gig?
Well, we didn't go through the entirety of the plot from the first season, so we'll briefly cover that.
That's right. Okay.
Because we never got to the end of the fruition of that. So each season is separated into different story arcs. The first season has two different types of episodes: standalone episodes and complex episodes. Standalone episodes are, as they are called, standalone stories. They basically deal with the daily routines of Section 9 and all these different cybercrimes that they are a part of, and they can range from anywhere in between a full armored warsuit going haywire, the mysterious suicide rates of an entire assembly line of androids, to even something as weird as cloning a national hero. What even was that Jarty episode? But then the meat and potatoes tying everything together is the complex episodes, which is the entire main storyline of the entire series, which is the Laughing Man case.
Yeah.
So the Laughing Man case takes place before the modern day in the story, where a super hacker known as the Laughing Man held up the CEO of a corporation, Serrano Genomics. I actually do have my notes in front of me this time.
Oh, lovely.
After kidnapping him on live television in order to reveal this truth that he was keeping secret. And it caused up a huge thing of controversy and, oddly enough, pop cultural impact, as there was a logo that was plastered all over the individual's face, obscuring his identity to everyone that had a cyber brain. The only two people that could actually see his face, and I was rewatching this series recently, so it's fresh in my mind, were two homeless men that did not have cyber brains, so they could actually see the people's face.
Yeah. That's really interesting to me, that, like, he's not disguising himself. He's hacking, like, everybody's brain to make them see something different, which is very weird to me. Like,
not only see different, but also hear different, because he also altered his voice.
That's true. Yeah.
Because we eventually do meet the person who was behind all of it, and the person ends up being a very soft-spoken individual who is voiced by the one and only Stephen Blum, but regardless.
Really?
Yep, that was Stephen Blum.
Holy crap. What year was that?
For when the Ghost in the Shell dub happened, somewhere between I want to say somewhere between 2004 2006.
Oh, okay. So post Bebop.
Definitely post Bebop. But I think it was post Bebop, pre Samurai Champloo.
Gotcha.
Tom from Toonami era, as it were. So,
okay, gotcha.
With everything involved in that, now that we have, what did you think of the entire Laughing Man story, of how it eventually unfurled? Because there was a lot of different, like, twists and turns that eventually led to Section 9 being not only directly involved in the investigation, but ended up being the scapegoat for a cover-up, essentially.
Yeah. It's been longer since I saw that one, so the whole Laughing Man thing, so I'm a little bit hazy on it, but remind me what happened.
Eventually they get the Eventually, they figure out that it's a corporate scam that ties back into the government. That they have all the pieces in order to be able to out. And in fact, Togusa, one of the main people that we focus a lot on in Section 9, outside,
my boy,
voiced by Crispin Freeman.
Crispy Chicken.
my friend streamer Baby Dove, shout out Dove. Me and her made this joke so long ago, like, because both of us watched the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, where he plays one of the main characters in it. She always called him instead of his actual name, Crispin Freeman, the joke name Crispy Chicken.
Crispy chicken.
That
That is such a cool name, though.
Crispin?
Crispin.
It is a very awesome name.
I would name my child Crispin.
Indeed. But
Awkward pause.
no, you're good. You're good. But so yeah, they eventually and I'm generalizing it to as best I can. In order to they managed to bring this to the attention of the Prime Minister, who says that they will look into it. Unfortunately, Section 9 had been making too much noise and had outed itself because it was supposed to be like a secret bureau that the public did not know about. And with the public whipped into a hysteria about what they can do, the government sends in the troops in order to capture them and immobilize them. Which leads to the final 3 episodes being a bit of a nail-biter, as our team is sent on the run. Chief Aramaki is brought in because of his political status in the government. Togusa, as we figure out, was imprisoned for months. And,
remember that.
And he had like severe PTSD from all of it, so much so that he was willing to go down to an assassination route in the final episode before Bato stopped and was like, yo, chill the hell out, kid.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that was messed up. Yeah. I felt really bad about that because they all faked their own deaths and disappeared. And like then he shows up and they're just so cavalier about the fact that they've just basically not contacted him for months and months to tell him that they're alive.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, well, you were the only one without a cyber body and you had a family, so we had to do it. And he's like, what? Like, do you have any idea what that did to my mind?
Exactly. It's like you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And then also in the aftermath of all that, throughout this entire storyline, we get a lot of different side character storylines, such as Bato and the Tachikomas on their own arc, which they kill off most of the Tachikomas by the end of the season, but only to bring them back in the second season. Togusa comes into his own as semi-leader and like one of the only like people with morals on that entire damn team. It's pretty awesome stuff, and I still think season 1 holds up as a very fun season. Yeah.
There were parts of the second that I enjoyed more, but it's a toss-up.
Yeah, season 2, classified as second gig, it's a bit of a toss-up. There are points where I think it is better than season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, there are ways in which,
like, you could definitely tell, like, in terms of budget productions and everything like that, it looks spectacular. Like,
it looks pretty good. Didn't the maker of the original movie like have a part in the in creating second gig or something? Thought I heard that on YouTube or something.
I think so. I want to say yes, but I can't confirm off of the top of my head. But well, I couldn't exactly find it, but if I did find it, editor Donald put it in post. So we have 3 different similar to how season 1 had the complex and the standalone episodes. Same thing goes into second gig, but there are 3 different kinds of this one. There are the individual episodes, the dividual episodes,
Dividual,
and
individual,
dividual, and dual.
Wall?
Dual. D-U...
Dual.
Dual wielding.
2 of something? Dual wielding, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
What you looking for? Maybe I can...
I'm looking for the name of, like, the one guy that's, Oh, there...
The guy...
Yeah, the minister guy that's, like, pulling the strings. Goda, that's who it is.
Oh, I could have told you that. Sorry, I didn't know what you were looking for.
I'm sorry. I should have said so.
Or as I like to call him, Gouda. He has a face like cheese also, so
it's so unsettling.
it is so unsettling. I don't remember exactly what his deal was. I'll be honest with you. I got a little bit confused with all of the different like sections and cabinets and organizations and stuff that people were all part of. All I knew was that that guy was kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I mean he's our main.
Well, he set up the guy who became the leader of the refugee revolution, right?
Yeah. So to overtale and overview this entire second season, the entire second season, one of the main things in the season is Japan. The refugee problem in Japan. Japan is having so many different refugees from many different backgrounds coming into the country that they don't know what to do with them, and the refugees are basically trying to annex and create their own country, essentially. Eventually, possibly breaking down to the events of terrorism. Mm-hmm. And at the time, another group has been popping up around this time, known as the Individual 11. So the Individual 11, basically, this is so. Sorry, it's been a while since I've seen Second Gig, so I'm re-looking at my notes.
Why are we talking about? Wait, we've both not seen this show in a while. We're both like,
Yeah. So basically, the Individual 11s are like 11 different individuals that commit acts of terrorism in order to either destabilize the government or something along the.
They're hoping to like
bring about change for the
bring about change, help the refugee community.
Yeah, something along those lines. And one of those individuals is kind of our deuteragonist of the season, Hideo Kuze.
Yeah. Who
we see early on in one episode attempting to assassinate the new prime minister of Japan. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Prime Minister Kayabuki was her name. I think she also is part she was part Chinese, if I'm not mistaken, which actually plays a bit into like the political scheme in the show, as they think she's favoring more on the Chinese side than the best interest for the country. But yeah, Kuze eventually is outed as a person of the Individual 11, but as it turns out, the Individual 11 is actually not a group, but an idea that is a virus that basically is manipulated from behind the scenes by the person that we mentioned, Kazundo Goda, the head of the Cabinet Intelligence Service, a data manipulation agency.
Yeah, and it manipulates their cyber brains so that like it kind of almost controls their actions a little bit.
Almost sleeper agent-esque.
Sleeper agent, yeah. Like they all go up onto a rooftop and like do a huge murder suicide. Almost all of them.
Huge katakiri on live television. Why? Yeah. Jeez, the news must be slow in 2031.
Because there's like, oh, they cut off each other's heads. What? Oh!
The line delivery in the dub. I was dying.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But a large majority of this season is actually more focused on this entire central plot dealing with the refugee issue We do get some side stories of some certain characters. We get a fantastic one with the Major, which follows her past a bit about before she was cyberized.
Yeah, that's on my list of favorite episodes here.
We also get
I've got 5 of them.
we also got a couple of dealing with a former Yakuza member of the who's a member of the group, Pazu, and also the team sniper Saito, which
Yep.
Poker Face is one of my personal favorite episodes. I like that could be its own
I like that one too.
that could be its own standalone movie. And I would invest money to see that come to fruition.
I gotta say, yeah, a lot of the sort of side stories where we learned about a little bit more about the characters were my favorite ones. Like I think, yeah, like that one that follows the Major's backstory and how she got her cyber body and all of that. And then I have a favorite as well that I'd like to talk about soon. We can go in we can talk a little bit more about the plot first.
Yeah, we'll finish up the plot and then we'll talk about some of our favorite episodes from this. So if this eventually comes to a head when Kuze, who broke free the Individual 11 virus, starts to take a more hands-on approach with helping the refugees, and they basically look to him as what's the best way to describe this? Their symbol? Their messiah? No, not messiah is not the right word. Basically, like their inspiration. Like everyone looks up to him, and that he's
their figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're all like connected to his brain. Like they get all of his information
from
like synced.
Mm-hmm.
They're all synced together in the cloud.
The concept of a hub cyberbrain, like one person sharing their cyberbrain with everyone else, and
must be noisy.
And the Major, in an attempt to hack in and try to figure things out, even she gets affected by this to some point, which ratchets up the tension in some of the later episodes. One of the new rookies in Section 9 ends up getting killed. Their main data guy, Ishikawa, is critically injured and put onto the sidelines for basically the rest of the season. His brain gets fried a bit. Bato's leg got messed up in a night fight with
my gosh,
Kuze.
That's right. Oh, that was a great sequence. I really loved that fight.
Realistically, what makes this season for me is like the last 10 episodes are just non-stop. Like it does not give you a moment to like register too much, with the exception of maybe one episode, but it's just such a tense conversation between Bato and Goda. And then when they go into Dejima to try to rectify the situation, because apparently this is what happened. Kuze and the refugees apparently made a deal with the Russian mafia in order to get plutonium to try to go nuclear in order to force the area of Dejima to become its own independent country for the refugees. As it turns out, Goda's people were pulling the strings from behind, and basically duped the refugees, and they don't have actually the plutonium. Only Kuze knows this, but he knows that with all of the refugees looking to him, he cannot falter. He can't.
Right.
Like, he's become the symbol. He's like, I'm in too deep. I can't back out now. But, and so recognizing this, in Section 9 figuring out that, okay, the deal went bad, how in the world are we going to rectify this in order to make sure that this doesn't go off? Because Goda wants to create a new, if I'm not mistaken, he's trying to create like a new power shift in the world with this. So much to the point that before the end of this entire story, he has made plans to defect to America. During the aftermath of it, during the fallout, actually. So Section 9's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Because of some shady interactions, we have this plutonium on hand. We are going to drop into Dejima, take it to the self-defense force in order to convince them that's like, okay, they handed over their plutonium. Please stop. Don't stop firing, please. And hopefully prevent a nuclear Armageddon or a World War IV. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think World War III technically happened in this universe.
Yeah.
And what results in this is a lot of people getting injured. Kuze eventually getting captured and then euthanized to death. Goda is shown for the snake that he is and is gunned down by the Major. And wow, one of the most graphic death scenes I've ever seen in anime. She just shot him off and his head explodes.
Yup.
Oh man. I was just smiling ear to ear. I'm like, that's what you get, you SOB. And in order to stop a nuclear missile launch, the Tachikomas sacrificed their entire existence by hacking into their personal satellite that contains all of their personalities and stuff like that in order to ram it into the nuclear missile that was about to fire upon the city of Dejima.
That's right. Yeah.
Which leads us to the epilogue, in which case it's months later and Section 9 is still doing their usual stuff, but it is implied that the Major has gone her own separate way. Which actually
you can go your own way.
Which actually does lead into a OVA episode called Solid State Society, but I do not have that, and I have not seen it yet. So we might actually save that for a special episode. If I can get my hands on it, we can react to it, and we'll talk about it. So with all of that, overall thoughts about season 2 before we talk about some of our favorite moments.
Overall thoughts. Well, it seemed a little bit. I personally enjoyed this season as a whole better than the first standalone complex. Like, I enjoyed Second Gig as a whole quite a lot. Like, in the first season, there were like episodes that I enjoyed, but I enjoyed the second season as a whole.
It's honestly,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you. It's kind of weird because whenever I ask people this question, some people are actually kind of split on that. Like, sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes people like both. It's definitely like a divisive thing, but it's worth knowing that both seasons are very different in how they're structured.
Yeah.
With that said, why don't we talk about some of our favorite episodes? I know you said you had one that you're itching to talk about, so
yeah,
I give you the floor.
Oh, no, I want you to go first. You can talk about your Saito one.
Okay, we could talk about Poker Face.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. So I watched this series originally when it was airing on Adult Swim back in the early 2000s, and sometimes when I wasn't able to stay up in order to do it, I actually did tape recordings on VHS overnight, so I could actually catch them the next day. Poker Face was one of my most rewatched episodes, so much so that I think I can actually speak the entire script nearly word for word.
Holy crap! Okay, go.
No, I'm not gonna do it. But I can but I do know I can do the entire first scene when they're sitting around the poker table, and I can actually speak almost that entire scene word for word.
All right. Hold on.
Are you actually trying to find the script?
Yep, here it is. Transcript, Poker Face. Go.
All right. I'm taking it from after the Tachikomas do their conversation, because I can't do the Tachikoma conversation.
Gotcha. Go for it.
Okay.
It was back in the summer of 2020.
Yep. It was back in the summer of 2020. Eurasia found itself in a mindless war of attrition and I had become fed up with the vindictive isolationist policy while Japan sat back and watched the precarious balance from afar. So I went ahead and enlisted with the Red Bianco. It was a volunteer army that was established to help preserve Mexico's provisional government. Back then, I was a different man, and my left eye was still tucked in its socket, safe and sound. Middle Eastern oil... What was it? Was it actually word for word?
Not quite, but pretty good.
Middle Eastern oil and Central American drugs. There's always conflict in places where there's profit to be made. This is the part where I actually stumble up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I can do that entire one except for that part. But it's the end part. Those filthy bastards had the balls to bring in a damn tactical nuke. That gave me determination. I was planning on putting the fear of God in them from on high. No joke. Yep. No joke, Hannah. Back when I was in college, it was during my second year of intensive in my acting intensive. We were doing part of our voice lessons on voiceover, and my instructor at the time, Michelle Lopez Rios, shout out to you, Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Assigned us an assignment to find a scene from anything and record yourself doing 3 different voices. And that was the scene that I chose.
Nice.
The entire poker table scene leading into the flashback.
Wow.
And everybody was floored. They were like, holy shit. Because
pretty awesome.
Because you know how I am. I am a bit of a goofball. But I had not done anything like that previously in the intensive, and they're like, dude, holy shit. How did you I'm like, I'm very dedicated to this.
Yep.
But I love the setup of that entire movie because we get a little bit of dialogue about like the ongoing plot with the Prime Minister doing a meeting, but then it's all centered around this story that Bato is telling, and it's set up like... You mean
Saito?
Yeah, Saito, sorry.
Yeah.
It's set up as a story that Saito is telling, and it's shot, and it's presented like a war movie.
Yeah.
And it's so engaging. From beginning to end. And also shout out to my favorite one-off character in that episode, Snow, with his Cockney accent. Ginger!
Oh, God.
Ginger, you're gonna rescue Mother. We'll all cover you. Snow, you go with him. Get moving! The bigoted son of a bitch. I just love that line so much that I've taken it for my own. At times I'm like, the bigoted son of a bitch. It's so good. And the best part about it is that at the end, he claims, Saito says that he made it all up in relation to the card game because one of the people that they're playing with is like, I am onto you and your poker face can't help you. I have the better hand. Saito doesn't reveal the hand, and the hand isn't revealed until after he leaves, in which case he had the better hand. Mm-hmm. And the Tachikoma was like, so wait, does that mean that his story was true too? And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that kind of ambiguity. I don't know what it is about me. I love that kind of ambiguity.
Yeah.
So what about you? What are some of your favorite episodes?
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed episode 2 called Night Cruise. The one about the right. So it was like, ugh, cut all that.
Sure thing.
So
yeah,
it's
sure.
about this this combat pilot from World War IV. So World War IV has happened. It's
oh yeah, that's right. There was nuclear World War III and non-nuclear World War IV. That's right.
Yeah, and we sort of get this idea of kind of what it was like to be in that war and what it's like to be a refugee now, because he's a veteran and a refugee, and he's working as a helicopter pilot for a corporate CEO, and he's been sort of like plotting his revenge, basically, I think like to crash the helicopter, right? I don't exactly remember. But he's like scheming this whole time and talking about how the talking about like the let me see if I can find find some parts of that.
I have
Ghost in the Shell wiki, guys.
I have the entire episode brought up on Wikipedia right now.
Oh yeah. It's it was it's so good. It's like, oh, what was it that he was talking about? It kind of reminded me of Catcher in the Rye a little bit, where the guy is like not really doing anything, but his internal monologue is so like it's just me against the world. Look at all these sheep. Look at all these phonies, you know. They like basically talking about cyborg use food product. He's talking about how like it's often said that war is a trade fair for multinational corporations, a proving ground where cyberization and prosthetic technology advances by leaps and bounds. That's what the last war was really about. Without realizing that they were guinea pigs, they lost human bodies, their families, even their homeland. Now they cling to the skimpy benefits and jobs that are doled out to them. At first glance, they appear happy, but they don't have a clue that it's a false pleasure created by a virtual personality composed of a cyber brain and synthetic body. So he basically just really, there's a lot of like rage and depression in this guy, and like he's planning to kill this guy in the helicopter that he flies all over the place, I think, and like never goes through with it.
Which then leads us into like the only time Section 9 like appears like in dialogue, because they think because they received a tip about a possible assassination attempt and pinned it down to him, but the Major realizes that it's basically a fantasy that he cannot really go through with.
Yeah.
Delusions of grandeur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has delusions of grandeur. Yeah, definitely. Like that I'm going to sort of be this revolutionary. I'm going to start a movement and stuff. And I think there was something about like, yeah, because he was like injured in the war and had like cyberized stuff. Like he like basically lost his genitals in the war, and there was all this stuff about that, about how like basically his future was taken away from him pretty much. Just like I'm a refugee, I'm a veteran, I am disabled, I can't be with anyone ever again, you know. Like it was just really sad. They threw him out with the trash when he went to visit this oh gosh, I would see, like he went to visit like a sex worker or something, and like he got tossed out. It's like the shit that veterans go through, and just like the world that they like fought for was not is not able to support them, I guess. Hello?
Right. Yeah. That was a really good episode. I'm trying to think back, like that's one like I don't remember too much off the top of my head. Most of the episode is basically one big internal monologue.
Yeah, I'm reading the transcript of it right now, and it's literally just like
it's entirely a one-man show. Can you look up who his voice actor was?
Yeah, sure.
Because the way it's been a long time since I've seen Second Gig. Don't get me wrong, but the way that I remember him like talking and like his cadence all throughout, like it's very hard to try to do a one-person episode for the majority runtime, even like 24 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see.
While Hannah's looking that up, another episode from season 2 that I wanted to highlight, was the episode in which Togusa is put on trial.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, he basically literally on his way home from the job, he sees a violent domestic dispute happening, and basically is forced into a position where he has to use his firearm outside of work in order to subdue the person.
Yeah, he had to. The guy was cyberized, and he had to shoot him like
Yep.
6 or 7 times.
Yep. But unfortunately, the guy still manages to kill the girl because damn cyberbrains. And Togusa is put on trial. And the lawyer that has been hired basically is slandering Togusa.
Mm-hmm.
And this eventually, with some investigation from Section 9, the lawyer is secretly hired by higher ups of a company in order to try to defend prosthetic defects, which the client kind of has technically.
Yeah. He has a prosthetic defect.
Something along those lines. I don't remember it fully, but I remember this episode being very, very engaging because this is really like one of the only times in Ghost in the Shell that we really see the judicial part of the judicial side of this universe, and it borrows a lot from how Japanese court systems happen, and 9 times out of 10, even more than 9 times out of 10, it's like 99% out of 10, like the people that are accused are usually the ones that end up losing the case.
Yeah.
It's a sobering fact that I've realized like more and more so as I've grown up and I've been reacting to and watching more different forms of Japanese media, which harbors a lot of different truths about how Japan's social systems work. I'm not going to be the one to critique on all of that because that's not my place to say. But it's a damn fine piece of drama, I will say.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm still looking.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Now, I'm trying to figure out if it was in the first season or in the second season. Do you remember the episode where Section 9 is tasked to find a girl that went missing, who was the very first person to be cyberized?
Oh my gosh, no, I don't remember that. I feel like I would.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember this was in episode 1 or season 1 or season 2. Apparently, many years before the season, before the show, the very first cyberbrain or cybernetic body was made. The daughter of the CEO of the company that did the first cybernetic enhancements was the first person to undergo the cybernetic transplants. A terrorist or violent actions movement that were more preserved was about like the preservation of the human body. The extremists that are against any form of cyberization.
Right. Yes. Right.
Is this starting to?
I think so. Yeah.
They
figure out. I think that they. Sorry, I'm still looking for the name of the voice actor for Night Cruise. I think that they listed the guy by like his last name for some reason. The character. So I'm just trying to figure out what his name is.
Oh, the character's name?
Yeah, it's Gino something. Find it eventually.
But as you say that, yeah, like I remember that episode in particular also being like a very harrowing episode about like just how gruesome the world that Section 9 is sometimes steeped is. That one and Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise and Night Cruise?
You remember Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, the one where the guy would like flay these girls. Yeah.
Fillet them alive!
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yep. It's pretty disgusting, I must say. is this guy? Oh, here we go. Wait a second. Sorry. You're going to have to do a lot of editing here.
No worries.
Right. I think it might be this guy. Hold on. Weirdly enough, the guy's name is the actor's name is Dino. Dino Andrade. Let me see if he's actually here, because he's just like the first name on the list of actors in IMDb. So
well, if that's how it is, I can also do some research later. Like, I have the DVDs and we can figure it out. But
gotcha.
But yeah, well, editor Donald, again, put it in post if you can find it. But yeah, again, though like the overall stories and plots can be very high concept and
wait, no, it's not that. It was not that guy. Sorry.
You're good.
It says he was in 51 episodes.
Oy vey. Well, we'll figure.
Oh my
we
goodness.
can figure it. We can figure it out later. But overall, despite some of the episodes, like the plot, the overall plots and story arcs of the seasons can sometimes get very, very high concept and convoluted. I still love what Ghost in the Shell does. Just the world building, just what it introduces, like the concepts.
Yeah.
And I said it in the previous episode when we first recorded that 3-ish years ago, and I'll say it again. That series occupies a very special place on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've... and I have to ask, now that you've seen both seasons, what are your final thoughts on it, Hannah?
Final thoughts?
Yeah.
I want to talk about some more episodes.
Oh, do you want to talk about more episodes? We can talk about more episodes.
Yeah, dude. I fell down the IMDb black hole. That's
Okay.
all.
Final thoughts in a bit. Let's talk about a couple more episodes. I've talked about enough. Cool. You share some.
Okay. So, I really enjoyed that one called I'm going to kind of go in ascending order of the ones that I enjoyed. So Night Cruise was the first one. Then there was episode 6 called Excavation. That was basically a like a buddy cop movie with Togusa and Tachikoma trying to figure out what was going on with there was this. Let me see.
Oh yeah, isn't that the episode that opens up with a washed up corpse?
I think so. He follows up the death of somebody who all the other members of Section 9 are guarding the Prime Minister because Kuze just tried to kill her. So
oh yeah, this was in the aftermath of Kuze.
They're like, you normal human. So he's basically sent to the refugee district to investigate the lead, and he meets the dead man's fiance, and they're trying to figure out what happened to this guy. And apparently he accepted this mysterious job. This dead man named Kanji.
Yeah.
He accepted this mysterious job, and in exchange for a new cyber body, and he was sent to this subterranean structure that was submerged in the last war, and basically to sort of like do some work down there. And it turns out that it's actually an old nuclear power plant, and that there's like really, really dangerous radiation out there. And I'm like, oh yeah, send the guy who's basically still a human to check out the nuclear power plant. Like, well done, you know. It's like it's literally the only one in Section 9 who would not be okay if he was exposed to radiation. I just found that funny.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, that was a really good one. For a minute there, I thought you were gonna say Cash Eye for a minute. I'm like, oh, is she actually gonna say Cash Eye? But then you skipped over, and I'm like, yeah, figured.
Yep. Yeah. Next, the one called Affection, which was basically um, the Major's sort of. She goes to this place where she goes to a shop that stores people's external memories, and she hears this story of these like two children, their cyber bodies that are preserved in the shop. They belonged to a boy and a girl who were in a really bad plane crash in which only the two children survived. And the boy was paralyzed except for his left hand, which he used to make origami cranes. And he made origami cranes for the girl who had been in a coma since she arrived in the hospital. And then she like got a lot worse, and the boy thought she had died. But 2 years later, she was brought to the hospital to visit him to sort of try to convince him to switch to a full cyborg body because like his therapy wasn't going well. He was still paralyzed and stuff, and he was really reluctant to do it because the girl was having a lot of difficulty with like fine motor skills and stuff. But eventually he gave in and went full cyborg, and he had been searching for the girl ever since he left the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it kind of becomes apparent throughout this story that the Major is the girl in this story. And she learns that this boy has been like trying to find her ever since. And she learns that he was like shipped out to the last days of the war, and he had not been heard from since. And she, like, while she's sitting there listening to the story, she has folded an origami crane. And there's basically this whole sort of, it comes back later, this origami crane, and like she's talking to somebody, like she finds the boy eventually, and she asks him this question like can you fold paper cranes with just one hand?
And who it turns out to be, it's just like, oh my god.
Oh, but that was just such a sweet story, and I found it really interesting. It was very melancholy, but also happy, you know.
We don't get too many episodes where
Very nostalgic.
Yeah, we don't get too many episodes where we get to see Motoko with her defenses down, basically, and just
she's always
one of the only other episodes I can
rough.
think. One of the only other episodes I can think of besides this one was the one in season 1 where they were dealing with the black market organ donors.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And she got and she was acting very personal about all of that. So
yeah, because there was that girl who like she needed a heart, gonna go, or she had to go full cyborg. That all right, and the last episode that I want to talk about, this was my favorite episode, and I don't quite even know why. It's episode 18. It's called Transparent. And there's this terrorist called Angel's Feathers. He's one of the most wanted men in the world, and because he's called Angel Feathers because he uses these he plants bombs and he strikes high-rise buildings, and he got his name because of the glass shards that would fall to the ground as a result of these explosions. And they have reason to believe that this guy, Angel Feathers, is going to stop in Berlin before he goes to his next target. For some reason, he always stops in Berlin first. And this this episode was kind of about it kind of focused on Bato and just his part of the surveillance, and he notices this girl in a wheelchair who is searching for her father, and it turns out that this girl is the daughter of Angel's Feathers. And whenever he makes a trip to Berlin to visit her before each job, like just in case he dies, and they like apprehend him like in the church where he's going to meet his daughter, this terrorist, and they discover that she's blind as well, so she doesn't see them, or really, like she comes in like right after they've incapacitated him, and she's like, Daddy, are you here? And there's no answer, and like it's this they had this she has this code with her dad where she'll know that it's him because every time that he visits, he's in a different cyber body because he's like on the run.
And that's right. Doesn't she mistaken Bato for him at one point?
I think she does. Yeah, she does, because they've got his they've got the terrorist like they've got him on the ground basically, incapacitated, and then she shows up, and it's like quiet in the church, and she says she like says the code, which she will ask, Papa, what's the angel planning to do today? Oh. And Bato answers, the angel isn't planning to go anywhere. And then the episode ends. Like, what the hell? Like,
that's
yeah. So
yeah,
she like
depressing.
thinks that she thinks that he's her dad, and he doesn't have the heart to tell her that yeah, your dad is a terrorist, and we just arrested him. It's yeah, and it was so good. I don't even quite know why, but I just found it. I found it very like
because it involved one of the most brutish on the outside characters, but softy on the inside.
Yeah,
with Bato.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, yeah, he's like this big tough guy who's, like always grumpy and stuff. But it was a very like sweet and tender episode almost. Like just the way that he interacted with the girl on the few times that they did run into each other. Yeah, and just he really laid into her her dad as well, like about like how messed up the guy is. He's like, you killed so many for the sake of your self-centered ideology, yet you still want to be a regular old dad to your little girl. All the places you bombed and showered with those piercing shards of glass, you can bet there were mothers and children there waiting for some presents too. So if you think you can commit wholesale murders for your terrorist cause, then keep on seeing your kid as if nothing happened. You're out of your mind. Sorry, pal, but you're never going to see your daughter again in this life or the next. It's like, oh my gosh. Like,
and that's honestly very in line with what Bato's character, because literally anytime in the series that Bato has been so worked up over so much thing, it's over the inherent hypocrisy that people will justify violent acts like that. Like, the only other times that we've seen Bato that angry was the Jungle Cruise incident.
Jungle Cruise.
And the time he befriended and ultimately exposed a former boxing champion that he befriended and trusted, and he was devastated.
Yep.
That he had to bring him in.
Yep.
Like he's a huge softy that wears his emotions on his sleeve, despite having a outer shell where he's like goofball Bato. Sorry, and I have to say for the English voice dub, Richard Epcar, you are amazing as Bato. Love you. So,
But yeah, that was my last one that I wanted to talk about. So
so what did you think about just as a whole, like as a whole for Ghost in the Shell? What are your thoughts on it?
well, a lot of it was really above my head. Like I think part of it was because I was watching it like um I have trouble following things on on TV if it doesn't have subtitles, like even if it's in English, for some reason.
Fair.
Um
I have that same
and
problem.
like yeah, I do not have a good auditory memory. Like my memory is very visual. Um and I think like when I was watching this, there weren't any subtitles available, so I was kind of adrift on my own. Um but I found the like standalone episodes that were about different characters to be way more interesting than like the main plot, although that was pretty interesting also. But yeah, like those ones that focus on one person and their sort of like um
Mhm.
their journey as a human, even if they are cyborg, like Night Cruise, Excavation, Affection, Transparent, Poker Face. I liked all of those.
Yeah, I have to agree on that. As much as I love the overall plots, like I said, again, like the standalone stories are some of my personal favorites. Even if it's not personable, like they just stick out to me. Like some standalone ones from season 1 was the hostage situation at the wine bank. Again, the kidnapped cyberized girl and how flesh and bones militarists exist in that society. Like you said, the excavation episode, Poker Face, again, one of my personal favorites.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good that comes from this series. Like it's very easy to approach if you're looking for something that is also like doesn't follow like traditional like storytelling beats. Like it's fine as one-off episodes on their own. They're fine. The fact that they also have an overarching story that overlaps with each other that you kind of do need to pay attention to at times. It can be a bit rough, but I think you can still enjoy the series on its own even despite that.
Yeah.
So this has always occupied a very special place on my shelf. I always recommend people watching Ghost in the Shell in general, so that's my 2 cents on it. How about you? Would you recommend this to friends?
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. That's great to hear. It took 3 years, but we got there. Woo!
Yep. Absolutely.
Alrighty.
You know what we got to talk about next?
I will make sure to get on to Steins Gate Zero, I promise.
Oh my gosh. It is going to the emotional whiplash is so real. Like it hurts my heart. It's like that poor guy.
But
that poor man. Anyway,
but that is a story for another time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening in to this episode. This has been episode 5 of season 2. If you guys like what you've been listening to, please make sure to stay updated and stick around for whenever new episodes go live. We're on Spotify, we're on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and if you guys want to see all of the episodes in order from season 1 to today's episode, please check out the YouTube link in the description below. It'll have the playlist for every single episode that we have ever done, all right there in one neat little playlist. Make sure to go check that out. You guys can follow us on Instagram at General Geekery, and on Twitter at Gen Geek Podcast. If you guys want to help support the show in any way, shape, or form, check out our Coffee and Patreon links in the description below. We're planning out some fun new topics and content for 2023 coming up. I'm super excited. Also, if you guys want to check out our separate series, Inepticon, make sure to follow my Twitch channel at Coffee Ninja Ryu on twitch.tv. That is where we upload our Inepticon streams, where we have Hannah play through video games for the first time and see the chaos that ensues. We just got back. We got back onto Persona 5 Royal recently, and oh my goodness, it did not disappoint at all.
It was great.
It was glorious. And make sure to check out all of our respective socials in the description of the episode. And we hope to see you guys down the road. Until next time, I'm Donald. This is Hannah. Until next we see you guys, back up your cyber brains with some malware protection. Don't get hacked. And always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink. See you later, guys.